really happy to do this with you. Thank you.
Me too. All right. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am so excited to have Lisa Thie on the Pausecast. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
I'm doing great, Rachel. How about yourself?
Good, good. It's good to see you again. I want to share a little bit about Lisa, and then we're going to dive right into her world, which is really chock full of, I think, a lot of topics we're all wondering about, things like AI for business leaders and what we can be doing to bring that more into our world as leaders, talking about entrepreneurship, authoring, all this cool stuff. And you also are a fellow Californian. I met you at this awesome Growth Factory event in Sacramento. So wonderful to be with you here. A little bit about Lisa before we jump in. So Lisa is an author. She wrote the book called Go, Reboot Your Career in 90 Days. So this is an excellent, excellent resource for anyone who's wondering how to create the plan for what their next move is. And that's why we resonated, I think, right, Lisa? You and I with the pause, you're like my cousin here with Go.
Yeah,
We're once removed.
I think that you are getting people in the right mindset to make that big change. And hopefully my story can inform them on some strategies for helping to implement that.
Yeah, I know you got great storytelling. So, Lisa, you're a renowned thought leader with this expertise in AI, career transformation, and ethical technology. You have over 2 decades of experience, and you are dedicating your career to driving innovation and empowering individuals and organizations to thrive in an ever-changing world. I love that. You're also passionate about this AI, and I know I've done a few podcasts on AI, so I can't wait to get into that with you. You're an international keynote speaker. You talk around the globe around what we can do with these topics using your insights and your vision. And I just learned that you're getting this incredible award soon, including you've already gotten the 2023 International Impact Book Award. And what was the one you just mentioned to me?
Oh, it's exciting. This week is the Stevie Women in Business Awards in New York City. So it's really exciting to be a finalist for this opportunity to showcase as Executive of the Year.
Woo! Yeah, just executive of the year in Times Square. Not a big deal at all. But I can see why, given all of these awesome accolades. So you're the CEO and co-founder of Minor Guard, an AI software company dedicated to online safety. So important. And you combine this technical expertise you have with a commitment to ethical AI practices. And you're also known for your work at leading healthcare and technology organizations, including some of these bigger companies that we're all probably familiar with. UCSF Center for Digital Healthcare Innovation and Microsoft. You have a TEDx talk, bringing light to dark places online, disrupting human trafficking using AI. So I see how critical it is to weave together the skills you have, plus social impact and ethics. And it's just so exciting to have you here today with me, Lisa. So thanks for being here. Yeah. And so I also was talking about pausing. I call a pause any intentional shift in behavior. And when we were talking right before we started to hit record, you were sharing about a way that you like to pause. And I'd love you to share that with us as our invocation today. What do you do? Tell us about what you do for your daily pause and how is it helpful? Why is it so good for you?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a new practice I integrated after a couple of years of breath work and being really active in trying to reset my nervous system. I found through some recommendations, Yoga Nidra. And what I've really enjoyed about that is it is a really nice way to calm down my whole body. And so it's as simple as hopping on YouTube. I really like one particular 10-minute video. They call it a massage for your nervous system, but it really is a nice way of having a guided meditation that helps me to get back out of my head into my body. And it's a free resource that everybody can leverage. And it's really lightweight. And I'm really excited to share more about it with your audience.
Thank you. Yeah, Yoga Nidra has exploded in the last couple of years, I know. And I use it myself a little bit for going to sleep. I have trouble staying asleep. So it's a wonderful way for me to kind of have that massage and get a little bit sleepier. So yeah, thank you for sharing. So tell us a little bit about your story. I know you and I met and we hit it off immediately. Go, pause, like we were saying. But tell us, how did you get to this space where you ended up writing a book about 90 days and rebooting your career?
Sure. So I graduated in the dot-com bust in the early 2000s from engineering school. And I came out west to see what the options were for me coming into a multinational tech company. And there, it took me about a week of looking up and seeing all the women in these VP positions and upwards to think to myself, my goodness, I'm not sure I ever want to get that successful. They look weary and exhausted.
Oh, geez.
And I almost like opted out before I even got started. And I wouldn't have believed that in college. Like I was a go-getter. I was aim higher. And it really struck me as I aged and became a parent myself, and probably having a daughter had something to do with, this momentum, but it felt like, there aren't a lot of visible role models of women executives on their first marriage that are involved with their children, that are working on things that are aligned with their meaning and the values and building their own legacies. And so I committed to myself that if ever I was fortunate enough to have that opportunity, I wanted to be more of a visible role model, because I think I've made my little dent in a huge problem that will take multiple generations to solve. My area of focus has always been bringing influential leaders and innovation together to address social justice issues for women and children at scale. And so human trafficking prevention has been kind of my focus these last few years of my career. But with that, I wanted to make sure that other people felt empowered to not fall for the line that you have to always work for someone else, not fall for that, if you're in a system that doesn't value you, that you have to stay there and just keep banging your head against the wall. It took me 18 years to figure out how to step into my own power. And I hope that I can fast forward that a little bit more for other women who are mid-career in that director VP level, maybe in companies that have an idea, have a vision, and want to have the opportunity to really step out and lead, whether that be as an intrapreneur within the company, which I've done, or as an entrepreneur. And, I think I stayed too long. And I wanted to help people that were starting to see the signals from their bodies. Maybe that's high blood pressure. Maybe that's waking up in the middle of the night and being up from 3 to 4 in the morning, which I think we can all relate to at some stage of our lives. Yeah. To listen to your body's signals, slow down, get really clear on where you want to go so that you can go really fast and step into that leadership. So it's kind of a third memoir, a third how-to 90-day plan, very specific and actionable.
Yeah.
And then a third around, how to create that next phase of your life successfully as either an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur.
So I'm hearing it's a roadmap for a little bit more about what to do next if you wanted to shift or explore shifting. And I love your path of going from corporate world to entrepreneurship. I feel like that's a common path, especially for women who potentially want to shift and change it up because of what you were saying, in that women are, I think, tasked more with responsibilities outside the home. And then there's this obligation to perform higher and better than men. And then, that we're not even talking about the BIPOC population or people of color and like all of this stuff. So there's just so many layers. It is complex, but I think that resonates, I think, a lot with at least with me.
Yeah. And specifically, I interviewed over 30 executive women that represent the differences in intersectionality as well, from not only gender, but also maybe their having disabilities or having racial challenges layered on with being a woman in the workforce. And so I wanted to get a broad representation of what women have really experienced to get to the top. And so by including the voices of over 30 executive women in the C-suite, I hope that people can find something that resonates with them. What I really connected with in that research process is realizing how much we don't know about each other. I mean, these are women that have been sponsors, mentors, collaborators, co-conspirators over the years of mine in my career. And I learned from a lot of them that we suffered from really systemic challenges that felt so personal until I actually specifically asked them the question in a survey form. I mean, these are people that were bridesmaids in my wedding, or, these are close friends, but I didn't know what they went through with relatable things with Me Too. I didn't know what challenges they had to deal with in terms of, some of the parenting responsibilities that layer on and having to step back in their careers at different times. I hope that this gives people that empowerment, that if there's something that you're feeling some shame around in your life, that maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was the system you were working with.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of system dynamics there, I think. And what an important topic, because I think you're touching upon, like, there's so many things to talk about today. I know you've done many developments in this artificial intelligence space and human trafficking. And can we talk about that for a second? And then maybe we can segue into the AI stuff. But, this sounds like, let's talk about the company that you started, and, how have you bridged your worlds together to really bring in the tech with the cause? I think that's such a great example for all of us.
Thank you. So I will definitely identify as an accidental founder, as the CEO and co-founder of Minor Guard. So basically what happened was, back in 2016, 17, I had been leading an internal group at Intel to focus in on building the first AI for good solution. And so we got the opportunity to partner with some of the largest organizations that address the crime of human trafficking and child sexual abuse material in the globe. So working with places like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, as well as Thorn, we help them to leverage technology solutions to accelerate the processing of these reports from the large tech companies like your Googles, your Microsofts, your Metas, into identifying where the criminal was operating in order to victimize these children, to get the reports to the right law enforcement agency faster. So when we got involved in 2017, it was about a 30-day turnaround process. We were able to create some bespoke automation and AI technology in order to get that down to 24 hours. So that's one less month that there is potentially a child being victimized that's waiting for somebody to recognize them and recover them. And so, once I saw the power of what can happen when you take these senior technologists and business leaders and bring them together to rally around a cause that's more than profit, but it's our human legacy, I just saw, I found my people. I found that feeling of inclusion that I'd never had in corporate America. And I also found my voice as a leader. And so after deploying that solution and having that experience, it was just hard to go back to doing business for business sake for me. And so I wanted to step in and continue to work on the cause. One of the things we learned through that process was 40% of the images that are reported to law enforcement each year are actually generated by children themselves through problems like sextortion, which is, send me images or I will release something I already have on you. Or it can be, teen dating and not having the brain capacity to recognize long-term consequences of those 30-second choices. And so we really wanted to make sure that we could help stop children from weaponizing their phones against themselves, so that we could reduce the load on law enforcement to follow up on. So those prolific offenders got more focus, because we knew that at least in the year that we were doing this work in 2020 deploying, there were 21.7 million reports to law enforcement that year. So in order to make sure that we're getting the most bad actors off the streets, we need to get that volume down. So I partnered with a friend from Apple who led their fraud detection solutions for their manufacturing floor. We had some ideas about what we could do with AI on device at the edge. And we started socializing that a little bit with some people that we have worked on the NECMEC work with. And the rest is history. Our company was born.
That's exciting. And is it still alive and well now? It's still being used and that kind of thing?
So a year into development, Apple decided to take some of our roadmap in-house. My co-founder went back in-house to develop some of that. So in the iPhone 12 and beyond, you can see our technology reflected in some of the choices for parental settings. And then on the Android side of the market, I took that into Bark Technologies, who inspired some of their work with Lenovo and the Chromebook.
Nice. Wow. Well, that's exciting. I know we can all kind of appreciate that work, knowing it's going into existing technology. So nice job.
Yeah, I'm always chasing my kids' age. So my daughter's 12 and my son's 11. And so my goal was to get a phone that I felt comfortable giving to them by the time that I had to introduce them to social media. And so, my daughter now has an open Android platform phone with Bark Technologies on it. And I know that I'm giving her the best chance to make affordable mistakes online and learn and grow. But as a parent, I'm also monitoring for those life-altering mistakes that could change the direction of things. So I love how AI is used in that instance to be able to give them as much privacy as they can earn, but also enough alerts to me as a parent that if something's going really off, I can have those moments that matter in the analog world.
Yeah. What a great model. And I'm curious because this is a lot of the digital device pausing, I think, in that I talk about. Do you put rules in place within your family to take a time out from your media? And how, like, can you just share an example? I'm curious what goes on in your household.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think some of the core rules that I'm really rigid on are that devices charge in the kitchen. They don't charge in your rooms. And I think, and I follow that one myself too, because it's so easy to roll over and the first thing you look at is your device and not, your spouse or your face in the mirror while you brush your teeth. So I'm a huge fan of it has a bedtime and it goes in the kitchen. Secondly, we have some limitations on how much per day, and I use Google Family Link to just this morning it's changed with business sports schedules and schedules, but that's what we attempt to accomplish to make sure that we get that quality time in as a family.
Awesome. So you broke up a little bit, but what I got was you have rules where you charge in the kitchen, not in your rooms, and then there's different. And the other part, could you say that one more time?
Absolutely. I use Google Family Link in order to help to have, after a couple hours, those devices turn off. I use Bark to monitor what's happening on those platforms and the direct messages, because that's usually where some of the challenges happen with things like suicidal ideation, cyberbullying, all the things that you want to be aware of.
What's that one called?
Bark Technologies.
Bark Technologies. Okay.
And then, but last but not least, we try to have one meal around the table as a family with no devices a day. Today, it happened to be breakfast because we're going to all be running to soccer and theater and book club and oh my. But, last night it was dinner. We try to at least have some of that analog time where devices are not invited.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that you've implemented those. And I think for all of us, whether you're an entrepreneur or like a leader in corporate or a woman in corporate or woman in tech, whatever that might be for you, I think we need rules. We need rules for structure to really be at our best. And that includes digital devices, especially now. I want to switch a little bit to entrepreneurship. So knowing you have made the move from corporate to entrepreneur, I know you also have a story around how that happened and really fought, like you said, accidental entrepreneur. Could you share that? Because I think this is great, because sometimes we never go out and say, like, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to start a business. You actually, sounds like it evolved really organically for you.
Yeah, for me, I had a vision, but I had no idea of how to get where that vision would ever become a reality. So what I really wanted to be able to do was continue to build on the work that we did at NECMEC. And so the core team that I worked with, I didn't realize had some angel investors on it. So these were mentors of mine that I worked with for multiple years. We'd done our day jobs together and they'd seen me execute over time. And so when I was at a place where I was ready to leave corporate America, it was no longer serving me. I was getting some of those signals from my body that being a director at a multinational company with 2 children under the age of 10 and a husband and all the things was really starting to put some extra wear and tear on my tires that was not sustainable. I was socializing the idea, and that mentor of mine asked me a really important and it was an instant answer for me. Yes, I would be extremely disappointed, even if it failed, that I didn't at least give it my shot, because if not me, who? And so with that in mind, he told me to come back with a pitch deck in a month. And we decided to meet for sushi. And so my friend from Apple that wanted to step into his own power and leadership doing this with me And I created a pitch deck for what we thought we could do to make the iPhone safer for children online and in real life. And we asked for $100,000 for 10% of our company. And in that meal, our board member and ultimately angel investor offered us 200,000 for 20% because he thought that's what it would take to get it off the ground. And, the stories of this are in the book because I want people to see how organic it can be. I didn't panhandle all around Silicon Valley. I worked with the people that I already knew that I didn't know had money like that. You would never know this person had money like that. So I think it's when you can lead with authenticity, have a really clear vision, and have a solid business strategy behind it, you will find people will rise to the occasion. The number of people that spent time, money, sweat, blood, tears on the vision of MinerGuard to get it where it was mature enough to be implemented through larger players in the market is a long list of people. And I'm so inspired by seeing us all come together to protect the legacy for our next generations.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm like, thank you for sharing, and just that authentic part that rings true for you. And I think a lot of times we forget that that's actually really valued, and we're afraid to share or show our true selves, which is our authenticity. And so we need to think we have to panhandle, or we got to have like 20 calls a day, and then we end up running ourselves ragged. So congrats on just finding the solution that worked for you and walking through that gateway, really, which set you into this new space.
It's why I love advising for founders now, primarily diverse founders. That might be age, that might be gender, that might be location. Yeah. But, really helping those people that have that vision, because when you're in it, like the best day and the worst day of a founder's life are separated by hours and may happen multiple times a day. It's really nice to have somebody that can be, side by side with you, cheering you on in those divots where you're like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into?
Yeah. You got your team. You got your team there. No one has to do it alone. I love that.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings me to the next topic. I know we've talked about AI, but I want to bring it up to like a 30,000 foot level here. So can you tell us, and I love this topic as well, so we could probably talk about this all day, but why do leaders need to know about AI? And I think we all kind of get that we do. And I just attended a conference called Wisdom AI, where we were talking about the good and the bad of AI and like all the ways it could go. So can you share a little bit about like if I was a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, like what do I need to be thinking about knowing there's AI and it's really evolving rapidly?
Sure. So my personal point of view on this, as somebody who's been deploying AI solutions in the wild since 2016, either on behalf of large companies, on my own company, or consulting for major firms in the healthcare and tech space, is that everybody needs to be aware of this technology, because your job performance is no longer going to be measured in the next couple of years by you compared to the other leaders in this space. It's going to be the leaders that know how to leverage AI are going to be competing with each other, and the leaders that don't will be so far behind, it's going to be irrelevant. So as somebody who is really focused in on ethical AI and responsible AI, there's a couple key wisdoms I'd like to share with people. Number one, this is a tool, not a solution. You do not peanut butter it everywhere. It's like saying if you know how to speak English, you're an author. Yeah. There's a very niche specialty to knowing how to leverage this tool properly. So as a business leader, you already have all the wisdom that you need in order to start identifying in partnership with your technology partners where to start applying this. And that's going to be where you're going to get the best business value from it. What is the best return on investment? So you're looking for places that have a lot of repetitive, tedious tasks that you're putting a lot of hours into with your subject matter experts that likely are not the best use of their time. And if you could accelerate that and automate that, bring them the right information at the right time, could they be making better decisions, more complete reports, all the things that could come out from leveraging their talents. So I'm a huge fan of the ecosystem play in this market. I think, just like cybersecurity, you can never have enough ethics perspectives on what you're building. We all aspire to have exits at some point in life, or mergers or things like that. So you never know what you build and where it will end up ultimately. So I think it's really important to look around the corners at the blind sides from a different perspectives. So from a ecosystem perspective, having the right partners at the table that have stated ethical practices of AI publicly on their websites, I think is really critical. I think if you're hiring vendors or you're working with people, you should be asking them what their points of view and how they're protecting some of the future generations with what they're building is really critical. And then cybersecurity. I think that's the other piece of all of this is, be aware that the more data that we are cranking on, the more opportunity for cyber threats. So you want to be looking at stacks that make sense from a hardware and a software protection layer for some of these AI solutions, because there is a lot of value that can come out of some of this proprietary data.
Got it. Yeah. So I like your comparison around those who have AI are going to be competing with each other. Those that are not even thinking about it will be left behind. And my head went immediately to like performance reviews, or like my thought would be, if I was, no matter what my job is or industry, what I could do is potentially make myself better using AI, right? Like I could strategize for what I could say differently, or for a conflict conversation, or, come up with how I could articulate what my high like qualities are, or my wins from the period of time. I don't know. That's kind of where my mind goes. What else is there on the table you think about with that?
Yeah, what really helps me sometimes is being so submerged in a topic for so long. Sometimes I get a little jargony by accident.
Yeah.
And so when I'm going into audiences that maybe aren't as technical as the ones I'm used to dealing with, I find it incredibly helpful for consolidating and up-leveling my points so that they're relatable to people. The other place that I find it incredibly helpful is marketing my business and social media. It's really nice to be able to plug in your long form content and have it chopped up into social posts that are, going to drive engagement. I don't think of myself as someone that is incredibly good at, creating viral content. Yeah. And so being able to leverage the wisdom of machines to help it be a little bit more catchy and even know what to say allows me to get my message across, I think, a lot clearer and a lot faster. I think it's really hard to talk about yourself. I sometimes hear from people, oh my gosh, you're out there doing so many things. And I'm like, thank you, lately.ai, for making people think that I'm out there doing all these things, because really it's taking my content that I've created over the course of 5-10 years and making it evergreen and making it accessible. Because a lot of the things that I talk about even though technology changes super fast, these don't.
They do.
Ethics don't change that much.
No. There's pretty much a standard there, right?
Trust and safety is trust and safety. And so being able to have some of that content, make sure that it's getting to the right audiences at the right time, I find really important, because, the AI is actually monitoring what's catching and what's resonating with people. And I find I usually am about 2 to 3 years earlier on a topic than what the average population is interested in. So making sure to keep all of that evergreen is really value added. And
that's really good. I know
I really love Lately AI, which is owned by a woman entrepreneur, and it's a great, great tool.
Lately AI. Okay, well, we'll note that one too. And there are a lot of tools now that are just blossoming out there for a lot of that. And those are some good ideas, no matter what we're working on as a leader, I think. Thank you. All right. So we're going to wrap up here pretty soon, but is there anything else that you want to make sure we touch upon that might want to be helpful for our audience, who are really interested in how to rise to the next level of leadership using their own emotional intelligence, being authentic, feeling really fulfilled? What do you anything else that we haven't talked about yet?
Absolutely. So I would really just love some support as a first-time author, putting my story out there for Go Reboot Your Career in 90 Days. I've got a lot of great feedback from people that it really helped them to have a recipe and a formula over the course of a few months to implement change in their lives. And so would love some support on purchasing the book. It's all now available in Audible. So if you'd like to get your books via audiobook, it's available that way. And I just really can't wait to hear from people about the program programs and projects and services that they lead, whether that were animals or for the planet or for senior care, whatever that topic is that you find yourself volunteering for over the years, or find yourself, wanting to get deeper in. Maybe it's your church community. I would love to see, as we democratize technology to so many more people, that people start to have their own visions of how it can be used to solve problems that might take generations to solve. I certainly will never solve human trafficking, but I can tell you that when the first month of the tool that we implemented with Thorn recovered 130 currently missing children from actively being trafficked, and that's going to be replicated month after month after month, that's what I'm proud of. It's not making it to whatever status at whatever company. And so, look at it begin with the end in mind. What's the legacy you want to leave? And hopefully that's a place to help you get there.
What's the legacy you want to leave? I think there's no better words to share than those. So thank you, Lisa, for being the model and just having so much incredible wisdom to share that you've been able to pull from your own career and experience that can help inspire and bring all of us along with you. I think, that's super inspiring. And 130 children recovered a month. Wow. And knowing that's repeatable. I mean, wow, what a incredible just feat in itself. So kudos.
Yeah.
Love what you're doing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Yeah. Where can we go to find more out about you? And do you have anything you'd want to offer us as well? I think there was something that you wanted to share about the book.
Absolutely. So to learn, I'm really active on LinkedIn. So you can look me up on Lisa Thie on LinkedIn. And the other place you can find me is on my website, lisathie.com. You can find Go in all the places you buy books. So Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Amazon, all the places. And last but not least, if you hit my website, I've got an executive's guide to retaining your female top talent available under lisathie.com/go. Feel free to grab your free copy of that. And hopefully we can collaborate and help you to get the most out of your talent in your companies and step into your leadership.
Yes. And retaining female talent and talent in general is, I know, a big challenge for so many companies right now where people are moving into different places. So thank you for writing that and for creating it and just allowing us to learn a little more about you. If you are listening to this and you like what you hear, hire Lisa to come talk to you guys. She's got so much good stuff. She's so, you're so eloquent with what you're sharing. So just thank you for sharing it with us here on the Pausecast. And one last question for you.
Sure.
One of my tenets is to continually be improving. So for transformation, what do you do? Like, what do you do to continue to stay on your edge, on your growth edge?
I am working on probably the hardest tenet for me, which is wherever you go, there you are. And so I am actively trying to slow down, which is a lesson I seem to have to remind myself every couple of years to get back into my body and back into my flow. So, being caught up in management consulting, the pace of life got really quite active again, on top of, launching a book and the kids and the things and that. So at the end of this year, I'm really looking forward to retiring, working for other people. I find when I don't have full control over what I'm setting out to accomplish in a day, and that my day can be derailed with a phone call from a client, that I have a really hard time saying no. I have a very active sense of responsibility. And so I am learning to sit with the discomfort of not having the monthly check come every month, and betting on myself that by holding true to my values, that I can still make the numbers work at the end of the year. So I would say my biggest activity is slowing down and sitting with my own discomfort.
Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, that's the whole premise of pause too, is intentional shifts in behaviors and being okay to not just be on the go, go, go wheel. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. It was great to have you on here today.
Thank you so much, Rachel.